focus on I focus on their offer suite development as well as then their inside sales funnel. And what I mean by that is not the outside marketing that pulls them in, but once people come into the sphere, what happens after that so that they have a successful new customer journey as well as successful course or digital experience for that customer after they've purchased. Because a lot of times we tend to drop them on their heads after that. So,
right. Sales funnels make me weep openly.
I love sales funnels.
I don't, it's funny. There's certain things that will not stick in my head. Like I cannot learn Spanish. I can learn it for about 15 minutes and it literally just evaporates. I literally cannot. And there's just certain things, no matter how many times I learn it and, everything else, the minute, I focus on something else, it's just gone. And funnels is one of them. I understand the concept, but no. Mm-mm. Yeah. Make me.
So my goal is to take that and dwindle it down into fun, actionable steps. And then you don't have to worry about what happens to it technology wise. There's the DIYers and then there's the people that have their admins. So
yeah. No. So I mean, we will talk a little bit about that in the course because, and we'll talk about it once we get the green light from Kathy, but just sort of like, there's not one thing everybody should do. Everybody should do, a bunch of things, but funnels are definitely one of those things. If, they're not always set it and forget it, because even though you make a funnel, you still have to work with the funnel and make updates and everything else. So, it's a lot of the focus of the Game Changers Conference is on the front half is that, you have to build your business. You have to work at your business. And that's sort of what it comes down to. And then where and how and who and what and everything else. So.
All right, I'm gonna just so I'm introducing Red. This is Red Hilton that you've been speaking with, Regina. Hi, Kim. I don't know if you can hear us. So Red is the one who's running the Game Changers Conference. She owns Belmont City Press, which is a publishing company. And she's going to explain to you what the Game Changers Conference is about.
Great.
All right. Ready to go now. Thanks.
You're ready to go.
Hi, Kim. I can't see you, but certainly jump in if you have any questions, and we'll have time for questions at the end. So my name is Red Hilton, and if you haven't been seeing any of my posts in Herself 360 or anything like that, for the last 30 years, I built a very successful sales career on two things. It was on speaking and writing. So with regards to speaking, I didn't do the typical things that most people in sales do. And I sold and still sell real estate. And what I ended up doing is I spent a tremendous amount of time talking in front of people. And that is how I built my business. And then writing, I think we have all gone through the process of writing, blogs, and then there are vlogs and articles and, the newspaper and magazines and all of those things. And then ultimately I wrote a book. So the things that I did to build my business were a little bit unconventional, but I feel like everybody can and should do those things because it builds a foundation that marketing and advertising can't necessarily do. And what I always say is, marketing is telling somebody that you're good at something. PR is someone else telling people that you're good at something. So that's sort of where the Game Changers comes in, is the conference was built on the 4 tenets of Belmont City Press. Who's here? Nancy?
Nancy, go ahead.
Hi, Nancy. You haven't missed much. I'm just introducing myself and we'll catch you up. Jump in if you have any questions, but we'll have a chance at the end to ask questions as well. So the 4 tenets of Belmont City Press are establish credibility, brand your expertise, simplify your life, and gain more business. That's sort of what I made and created Belmont City Press for, because I wanted to help people write and publish their book for the specific purpose of using their book for marketing themselves so that they could establish credibility, brand their expertise, simplify their life, and gain more business. So I had spent 30 years getting to that moment. And then I was like, how do I get this information out to people? Because I saw the benefits of public speaking in my career. I saw the benefits of writing a book in my career, and I wanted to share that. So that's where the idea of the Game Changers Conference came about, because I wanted that rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing. We all go to conferences, and I'm attending a couple of them in April because, that's what you're supposed to do. But you go to a conference, you exchange business cards, you listen to the keynote speakers, and you then go home from your conference, filled with I'm going to do's, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I've been told to do. And then we all fell back into that thing called life and our old habits and stuff like that. So we never really get the benefit of it. So unless you're on the other side of the podium, meaning as a speaker, and people are drawn to you, the numbers is what helps people be successful as keynote speakers. And so getting on the speaking circuit can be challenging. And I always liken it to back in the day when we all tried to get our first credit card. It's like you couldn't get a credit card because you didn't have a credit card. It's hard to get on the speaking circuit if you haven't been on the speaking circuit, because they're like, we don't know if you're just going to get up there and start singing the alphabet. Like, we have no idea what you're going to do. So I put together and sort of flipped the script on what a conference means. So the Game Changers Conference was born. So the agenda for the Game Changers Conference is on the Eventbrite link, which is part of the registration. If you haven't seen it, let me walk you through it, okay? So before we even get to the conference, once you sign up, we're going to spend 30 minutes or so together. I'm going to give you have my link to my OLA, and we're going to spend 30 minutes together going over how this conference best serves you, what your contact information is, and then we're going to work together on a script if you need for your keynote address. When you get to the conference, there's an AM social. Okay, so and Kathy can attest to this, the 4 Points by Sheridan and Norwood is going to literally feed you all day. So as I've said to everyone, bring a serve and save container, because you can get your snacks and, breakfast for the next week, because it's just food. So there's an AM social, coffee, Danish, fruit, whatever the chef comes up with. And you get to meet everybody, exchange some cards if you want, that sort of thing. At 9 o'clock, we hit the ground running. If you are going to pay me for 6 hours, we are going to work for 6 hours, okay? So wear your sneakers. We start with 2.5 hours essentially of education. We are going to, and sort of collaboration, we're going to walk through how to identify your ideal client, literally get down to the specialty that you can provide someone. And we have a worksheet for it, and we're going to talk about it, and then talk about amongst ourselves, in the group, who knows a person like this, and this is who I'm looking for, and everything else. So I have a full worksheet that you can walk yourself through. With that, I have put together some demographics and statistical information on all of the larger social media platforms, the YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, if it's still around, in Instagram. You can tell I'm really not big on the social medias, but all of those. So the demographics. And so once you identify your ideal client, and then you pair that up with what it is service you are providing, the demographics that I give you will help you figure out where to place your marketing dollars, and to sort of identify where you should be putting your efforts in on social media, so that you can find your ideal client. I always say, if your company is making organic cotton tampons, you don't want to be marketing yourself on Twitter, because that's 72% men. So you're not going to do yourself a great service. You want to be over on Instagram or wherever it is, this demographic happens to be. So we want to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing and where you need to be doing it. Once you get there to do it, what is it you're going to do? So in conference, we are literally going to write. We're going to script, because I'm going to give you the template and the outline for a script for you to produce in conference your first 5-minute webinar. And that is going to be fill in this script and everything else. And that is going to be your 5-minute webinar that you can then take to the air on YouTube, on your Instagram, whatever it happens to be. You can scale it up, scale it down. so that you know how to market and advertise yourself. And it's called Hook, Story, Offer. And we're basically going to teach you how to write your hook, how to tell your story, and then make your offer, and do it in a non-sales way so that you are able to have people interested in what you're going to say. We're literally walking through that during the conference. Then there's going to be opportunities during the conference. And that's why, Regina, when we were speaking earlier, I want to know what the best contact information, what platforms you really are hanging your hat on. Because in the back of the workbook is going to be where to find you and everything else. But in conference, we are actively going to be going on each other's social medias. And, I'd jump on Regina's YouTube and be like, I'm going to be a subscriber. I'm going to leave her a comment. I'm going to go over and share something from her Instagram to my Instagram. I'm going to do this. We're going to sit there and actively sort of participate in a little boost to your SEO. And we're going to start to become your biggest cheerleader, and you'll start to become the other participants' biggest cheerleader. And that rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing. So that is what goes on during the morning. And in between all of this, you're all going to have an opportunity to head to the back of the room, and there'll be a photographer there, and they can take headshots, and you'll get a few pictures for free, and they'll set up an account for you if you want to do, buy a few more from them and everything else. But you're going to get a headshot if you need one. Maybe you need an updated one. They're also going to be encouraged, and I'm going to encourage you guys to do what are called thumbnail poses. So you've all gone on the YouTube or whatever it happens to be, and you have the thumbnail of a video, since we're talking about videos, and it's someone pointing like this, or they're holding something, or whatever it happens to be. So those more thumbnail, fun, whimsical poses, because we all know when you're looking at video, and we're all guilty of this, but 80% of the reason you click is that thumbnail. So we're going to talk about thumbnails, how best to produce them, what the sort of secret sauce is behind producing a good one. And I'll point you to some online YouTube channels that will help you if that's where you want to hang your hat. So that when you make your 5-minute webinar, you know how to basically get it out there in a real palatable manner. That's the morning. So then we go to lunch, all right? That is going to be your networking opportunity. You sit, you eat, hey, who's this, whatever, everything else. And then in the afternoon, everyone takes to the stage and you start your keynote addresses. You are there as a keynote speaker, but you are also the audience in everybody else's keynote speech. So as you're sitting there, you make your keynote speech, you're going to have an opportunity to go live on one of your social media channels, which live video boosts your SEO more than any other upload. There'll be selfie pictures you can take, and then the photographer is going to turn around and take pictures of you during your keynote speech. And then we're going to take B-roll style video, meaning, I talked about this earlier. If you want to get up there and sing the alphabet during your keynote speech, go for it, because as you begin speaking in public, the first 10 times you speak about something, it's not going to be good. So, and that's good. Let's get one of those out of the way. But you standing up there and talking, which you then can use as like B-roll, like, and do a voiceover in your social medias and stuff like that, you'll have that, so that you have proof, if you will, that you've been speaking in front of crowds and everything else. Again, it's all PR that you can use in your marketing. And then everybody in the audience, as they're listening to you, tell them who you are and what who you're looking for and what you can do and the benefits and everything else. We want to make sure that they're kind of putting you through like the face test and saying, okay, as they are speaking, does someone's face pop into my mind that I can refer to them or I think can benefit? And that's why we want to craft your keynote speech so that it does, provide enough information for a face test, and everybody's actively engaged in your keynote speech as you're speaking, so that they can say, how can this person and I work together? Oh, maybe we can collaborate on this. Maybe we can do a blog or a vlog or, or a podcast together or whatever it happens to be. So all along the way, everybody's actively engaged and they're your audience. Then you come and you sit down and you are doing the same for the next person. So everybody there is the audience and everyone there is the keynote speech. Then we wrap up. There's a few more exercises in the workbook, and everybody takes the workbook home, your lovely parting gifts, all of that sort of stuff. During the conference, you will be assigned a buddy, if you will. And one of the things that we talk about is connecting with other business owners as a form of marketing and advertising your business. So you're going to be assigned a buddy and you're going to set up an appointment with each other afterwards. Just like Regina and I might hop on a call just like this and be like, Regina, tell me what you do. And you tell me and everything else. And then I leave a review on whatever, your website, your channel, whatever it happens to be, post conference. And I teach people during the conference with a very specific formula. How do I leave a review for Regina on her Instagram or Facebook without compromising my integrity, because I'm not technically a customer, but how I can also benefit from that because, I want my business getting out in front of Regina's, audience as well. So you'll be assigned a buddy. So you'll at least get one or two of those as well. And then you have a 60-minute coaching session with me after the conference where we basically sit down and say, okay, and there's a system that I walk you through that sort of checks off where you feel like you are doing well and not doing well. And we're going to hone in where you're not doing well, whether you need video creation, editing, if you need, thumbnails created, any of those things, what serves you best so that you can get your business to the next level. Okay. So there's a book, I believe it's Marshall Goldsmith, and the book is called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And essentially the book was written about how, successful CEOs can get to the next level. So the premise of the book at the moment doesn't serve us well, but the idea behind it does. And it's sort of like what you've done to get to this point in your business, wherever that is, got you here, but it's not going to get you there. So if you want to make changes and a shift in your business and you want to go in a direction, that you haven't been in before, you've got to make changes and you've got to step out. And the two most efficient ways I feel with regards to connecting with an audience and glowing up your business is speaking and writing. So that's where the conference comes in. And I had said to, Kathy, anyone that signs up before tomorrow is where we are at this point. There is still time to get in on a group anthology that when you go through the program. So when I set up Belmont City Press, I started Belmont City Press University. So when I say that I help people write their story and publish it, I literally mean I help them. So when I wrote my first book back a number of years ago, it was 30 years in the making. And I always say the 18 months it took to get it out of my head and onto paper seemed longer. And I was like, there has to be a better way. I couldn't find one, so I built one. So I built an online system where for 21 days, 20 minutes a day, you answer a bunch of questions. And then our writers and editors sort of take it from there and formulate what could be a chapter as part of an anthology or a standalone book similar to, one of the books I just wrote. And then from there, my most recent book, How Writing a Book Will Help You to Grow Your Business, which I'm writing a chapter each month in the newsletter for Herself 360, is basically once you have your book written, then the 12 steps of marketing ideas on how to get your name out there by using your book as your marketing tool. Because once you write a book, that can become your biggest business card that you can possibly have. So Belmont City Press University is an online course you go through. We put everything together and formulate either a chapter as part of an anthology or a standalone book. And I call it more of a booklet because it's usually less than 75, 100 pages, but it's basically your marketing tool moving forward. So I said that anybody that signs up with no discount code before tomorrow has enough time to get in on a group anthology, which would be a very basic, high level sort of, this is who I am, introductory, and these are my game changer friends you could do. Or if somebody wanted to do their own book as a result of signing up for the conference, I would take the entire cost of the conference off of the cost of producing your own book. So if you wanted to do that. In addition to that, you guys are all members of Herself 360, but I'm going to be paying for you to have any extra blog posts and guest blogs on Herself 360. And everybody that attends is going to get their own press release. So post-conference denoting that they participated in it. And to this day, I did my most recent press release that I did for Belmont City Press, I think was October of last year. And even though it goes international, like the press release goes far and wide, for those businesses that are smaller, the press release is not necessarily to gain more clients per se, but I still to this day get anywhere between 60 to 75 hits to my website a month just from that press release that I did months and months and months ago. So it is an SEO boost, if nothing else, so that you can get some traffic going and show up in searches and get some clicks and everything else. So it's a great way to at least drive some traffic, because the more traffic you have going to your website, the more it's going to show up in other people's searches. So that is essentially what we're going to do for 6 hours. And I mean, we're working. So Kathy, have I not covered anything? Because you have intimate details of the process and, you know, what is the Game Changers Conference. Is there anything that you wanted to add or talk or ask about or anything like that I should mention?
I think you covered everything, especially the food.
There is food. Let me tell you. It's like, who eats this much? Who eats this much in a day? You know? Yeah.
Really. It's Red and I have talked about this a lot, and I really think it's the Game Changer is a good name for it, because it really, everything you're going to learn at this conference is really going to up your game. So,
how many people do you anticipate attending?
So I don't know, obviously. So there's a benefit to keeping it extremely intimate, 10, 20 people. When I built the conference, I built it to scale to 100. There are advantages to having it at 100, and there are some disadvantages to having it to 100. So my goal is, at a minimum 10 to 20 people. And that gives us a good amount of time to go through everything and let people practice and do that. If we end up scaling up to 100, and I would cap it at 100, because there's literally not 1 minute extra if there's anything more than that. There's some advantages and there's some disadvantages. So I would say anywhere between 20 and 80 is where I'd like to really cap it at.
Okay. And the reason I want to attend is I feel like I want to be a better public speaker. And also I feel like I have a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right reason?
So coming here and learning to be a public speaker, yes. So I think the 2.5 hours that we sort of put together and we go over putting together your webinar, do you have a business that you would be promoting, or what is it you would be promoting at the end of the day? What is it your story would tell, or where is it coming from?
Well, there's several different ones that I have in my mind. I'm a career property manager. I've been a woman in a male-dominated career for 35 years. I just got my real estate license, and I'm going to start that business. And I also am trying to start a business for type 1 diabetes and work in that arena. I've run a support group for moms for 13 years, and I'm thinking about maybe establishing a coaching business and trying to do a train the trainer thing where I can see mom support groups in every region. Hopefully nationally. That would be my dream. So I have several different things that are jumping around, and I'm just trying to figure out the next chapter.
Okay, so I think you came on a little bit late, so I'll just repeat what I said in the beginning. I built a 30-year sales career in real estate on public speaking and writing. So whenever I had an opportunity to speak in front of people, I took advantage of it. And I did not go down the typical placing ads and, those sorts of things and marketing and cold calls and all of that when building my real estate career. And so public speaking is how I ended up doing that, and public speaking to network, and public speaking at engagements that on the surface, and we talk about this in the conference as well, that we have to start remembering that we need to build a business, not look for transactions. And the challenge with that is most people, I was speaking I did a lot of peer mentoring when I was, selling real estate because I have a history and a background in certifications in credit counseling. So I was doing a lot of credit counseling to women in shelters, and because that's usually an obstacle and everything else. On the surface, is someone who is in, real estate, they're not buying a home, but you know what? They may one day. They may have friends. The people that
Right.
work there might want. It's all of that. So any opportunity that you have to get in front of people, if you get a chance to write a book, the reason I started Belmont City Press in the first place is so people can write a book and use that to market themselves. I have a coaching business in real estate as well. It's called Edify Coaching, and it's basically first-time home buyers programs for real estate agents, so they know what first-time home buyers know when they leave. My first-time home buyer class was 8 hours long. They go out into the world, and all of a sudden they know more than their realtor, and it's like, well, who's the expert? So I started a coaching business for real estate agents so they could know at least what home buyers are learning in home buyer classes and speak intelligently about it. So, every opportunity I had to speak in front of someone, I absolutely took advantage of. And, that may not have been a one-to-one is what I call it, meaning I do something, I get money. And that's not how real estate works. You want to build a business, not have transactions. So there's an advantage in everything. Anyone signing up before tomorrow with no discount code can take advantage of going through Belmont City Press University on the personal plan. It's called My Journey, My Story. If you wanted to write and be part of a group anthology, and then if you wanted to write your own booklet and like a full length, one that's just you, I would take the cost of the course off of the cost of doing your own full book and everything else. So,
Okay.
Bye, Regina. So, so anything, do I think there's an advantage? Yes, because I am teaching you in 6 hours, essentially, what it took me 30 years to learn building my real estate career, which kind of runs itself now. Like literally, I don't market. I'm pretty low profile. I have a website, but I don't, I'm barely on social media. Everything I do is word of mouth, absolutely everything. And with regards to my book, I get personal referrals. A friend of mine who I've sold many houses to her mother-in-law, her kids have come to me, on and on and on and on. After 30 years, people I sold a house to have come to me, their kids have come to me, referred me to her aunt and uncle. And I went over there 110%, put my presentation together and everything else, including a copy of my first book that I wrote about real estate. Went there, sat down on their couch to make a listing presentation. On their coffee table was my book. They had bought it, they read it, and they knew they were going to hire me. So, do I feel there's benefit to you? Absolutely. I would love to even put you through my real estate coaching, course if you wanted to do something like that. So I could teach you, what I've learned and what first-time home buyers are learning. But there's going to be opportunity for you to meet with people, and you never know who knows who. So.
Right. Well, the reason I'm getting out of property management is I feel like I have a big network in property management, and I just want to be able to retire and do something fun. And I'd like to work in the luxury market on the Cape. I signed a contract with Griffin Realty that has a office in Osterville. I'm going through their training now. And actually, when I first met with them, they said, well, your age would be great because no one wants to buy $1 million home from a 20-year-old. So the fact that you have been in the business for 30 years and, probably can deal with that clientele way better than a 20-year-old. So I'm trying to figure it all out, and I can't really leave my full-time job to do the real estate thing until I build a book of business and build where I want it to be in order to segue out. I've only signed like a part-time contract, to be a part-time agent for them for the time being. So I got to figure it out if I want to make money doing it.
Have you thought about how you want to market yourself? Like, considering who your ideal avatar would be, how you want to market yourself and how you best then connect the two?
No, that's what I need help with. And, obviously I have to create a website. I have to, do all that. I know several mortgage people that I could reach out to and say, hey, can we do a first-time home buyers program together? So I have some networks, and some connections. I also live in White Cliffs in Plymouth, which is a captive audience. However, there's a woman that lives here for the past 30 years. She's been selling. She's lived here for 30 years. She's only been selling in here for 6. I don't want to be, roll her over and compete against her. I've already tried to meet with her and said, how can we work together? And she's very discouraging. Oh, it's a tough business. You're never going to make money. It's a lot of hours, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, don't worry, girl. I'm not going to steal your clients out of the gate here. You know how women can be, right?
Yes.
So I just got to figure out the networking part and getting myself out there in a separate way, right?
So, and that's what, part of the conference, is obviously, the learning and the interacting and everything else, but also, and I don't know if you were here, but, marketing is one thing, PR is another, and we're going to give you the PR you need to sort of market yourself with. You're going to have the pictures with you and your microphone and the audience and all of that. And that lends itself to a lot of credibility. It's like, we're all experts in what we know, and what you know and your uniqueness is what makes you an asset to somebody. So we want to highlight that so that as you're out there and you're talking to your ideal avatar, the way that we sort of lend, credibility to people, or, basically say, okay, they're an expert or whatever it happens to be. There's a million studies that say, write a book, because that's instant credibility. But also, right, if someone else thinks that you have something important to say, meaning that you're a keynote speaker, then that also, they said, like, well, those people think that's important. I should think it's important, and they know what they're talking about. But it also gives you an opportunity to stand in front of people and practice and get feedback and figure out what it is that you're saying and how you want to brand yourself and how you want to say what you're saying.
Okay. I get it.
So that's the advantage of doing it. And you have documentation. I mean, I've probably taught 250, 300 first-time home buyer classes and CEs and, government programs and mass housing, and gotten up speaking. And there's a lot of talking in my history, as you're probably shocked. But what I can tell you is I don't have one picture. So either people believe me when I say I know what I'm talking about, or they don't, but I can't show them. So I want to avoid mistakes I made and be like, here you go. And then you get headshots, you get this, you get that. And you can have a headshot for your business card, but you need more than one. Right. You want something for the jacket of your book. You want something for your Instagram. You want this, you want that. When you do your 5-minute webinar, the formula I give you, you're going to be able to do it on any topic you want to talk about. So if you want to write it about real estate, you can. If you want to talk about, any of the other things that you do, you can use that formula to put videos together for whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay. And what's the date of the conference again?
It's May 25th. So all of the information you need, if you go to thegamechangersconference.com, there's everything sort of laid out there. You hit the registration button, that will bring you over to Eventbrite, and everything is there as well. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see the agenda, and you can just hit see more. It'll break out the whole agenda for the day, like AM session, AM breakout, lunch, PM, this post-conference, pre-conference, all of that.
Okay, great. I did look at your website the other day, but I'll go back.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds.
So any other questions?
No, it sounds exciting. It sounds like fun.
I'm excited. I can't tell, but I'm excited. Like anytime, it's like when I wrote my first book about real estate, which is never overly riveting, I had spent how many years and times talking and talking and talking. And it got to the point where it was like, if I get hit by a bus, all of this is gone. So I kind of wanted to put it on paper, but I also looked to simplify my life, which is the third tenet of Belmont City Press. And it's sort of like, one of the things we'll talk about is centralizing your expertise. So either in a book or a website or blogs or, whatever it happens to be. So when I centralized my expertise, someone would ask me a question, I'd be like, I wrote a whole chapter of that in my book, and here's my book, and turn to page 17, Helen, because it's right there, your answer to your book and everything else. So it did become sort of, a great marketing tool, but also a good reference for me. And, it was an easy enough read that people could kind of make their way through it,
Mm-hmm. How many books have you sold?
So that's the beauty of doing a business book. I don't use them. I don't sell them. I mean, I sell them on Amazon. I think it's on, my books are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I use them as business cards. I get author copies and I hand them out. Everyone there is going to get the most recent copy of my book. It's free to download if somebody wants. You can go to bcpfreebook.com, give me your email address and you can get a copy of the book. I don't write the books because nobody's going to get rich off of royalties. What
Right.
books generally do is they give you opportunities. And in this book, when I highlight 12 ways for you to use the book to market yourself, you write the book, this is what you do. That's now your marketing tool. So they're basically business cards, just really big.
Okay,
So, I mean, I've probably sold a few hundred, but that's not even what we do at Belmont City Press. We literally make books. Like I work with some like YouTubers and Instagram, like I Don't Cross a Gay Man and Quinn Alexander and Hoodisms and a couple other people and stuff like that. And the books that they write, a lot of times they end up doing coloring books with us. And we have a small segment of people who do coloring books with us. But they use them to engage with their audiences. So they make a coloring book that's branded to them. They post it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble to sell. The people buy the book, but then they're like, okay, 3 weeks from now, we're going to have a color with me night, get your book and we're going to color together. So it's an audience engagement tool, which is them marketing themselves. So
Right.
are they going to get rich off of royalties? No. Do I cut royalties checks to them? Sure. No one, it's not life changing. And none of the books, like even best-selling authors, they're not getting rich off of royalties, and when you get an advance on a book, I mean, we can go through contracts all day, but you get an advance to write a book, you have to cover it in sales. So it's the opportunities you get from writing a book. So I sort of took out that middleman, like, don't worry about the making royalties and selling books. You don't need to worry about writing and selling books. You're now marketing with it.
okay. I get it. Well, this
Yeah.
has been very informative. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for making space for me. And, your time is very valuable, and I hope I respected that and you got what you needed out of it. So if there's
Thank you.
anything that you feel the conference should do that would serve you best, once you sign up, we have the 30 minutes beforehand where you and I, chat and figure out how we can serve you. I'll make sure that we address it either in conference, post-conference, or point you in the right direction.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
It was so nice
right,
to
and
see
then-
you, Nancy.
You too, Kathy.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All righty, bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
Nancy. So, Kathy, who was on early? Do you want to cut the recording?
Regina